Camacho.
Okay.
Macho.
You said it right.
Camacho. I didn't know if it was Camacho or Camacho.
Camacho. Camacho.
Yeah, but it's Spanish, so anything could mean something different.
Yeah, true.
So you are my. How many guests have I had?
I don't know. I haven't seen your show.
You don't know anything about it?
No, I don't know anything about tell me about the show. I mean,
I think I've had a repeat. So this is episode 5. You're the 4th guest.
I mean, I should be number 1, but I guess I come in at 4.
Well, Adam was a big reason why I started it. He's been talking to me about it for probably a year. You got to do a podcast. So it was only natural for me to bring Adam in. And he's my neighbor. So it's really convenient. And we've talked about it a lot. Me and you just talk a lot.
We do.
We just have good conversations.
We do.
Hey, how's his audio, by the way? Because he sounds quiet to me.
Who?
Does he sound okay?
Oh.
Well, I just didn't know how close you needed to be. Which he can adjust all that, if that's where you like to be. I like to kind of gnaw on the mic.
Why? I'm not trying to make out with the mic.
See, that sounds good.
What? When you real close?
Yeah, the other day we was talking about ASMR. Is that what it's called? Yeah, it's sexy almost.
What? It's like, hey, girl. Talk dirty to me.
Woo. Well,
you just want to hear my 1-900 boys, don't you?
800. I thought the 800s are free, aren't they?
Yeah, but I'm not 100.
Is that a thing anymore? 1-900?
I think you do.
Really? With the internet, everything's free. Why? If people still pay for a phone?
Not everything free. You got to pay for everything.
I'm pretty sure if it's on the internet, you can find it for free.
Nothing.
If you have any Google skills at all.
Nothing's free these days, Nathan. Eventually, you pay for it.
No, I think everything's free.
Okay.
Especially when it comes to porn.
I would.
That's what we're talking about.
Porn.
1-900. What else was you talking about?
Well, I would not know. I could.
I know. We just we've heard things.
I could care less about porn. You know that. I don't care for it.
Well, that's good. That's good.
No,
I believe you.
I'm serious. There's some guys that make fun of me because I don't like porn. I said, why? My thing is, why would I watch someone doing something? Mm-hmm. I get nothing out of it. Or now that I'm about to be married, I can call my wife and do all those things that I watch.
Exactly. Well, yeah, I mean, I get it. I guess I get both sides. I'm neutral. I'm happy with whatever floats your boat.
There you go.
I think the topic tonight, which we haven't decided on, had nothing to do with porn. So I think I'm going to change trajectories as fast as possible.
I was just making that statement. It's just I like everybody. I respect whatever.
Yeah. I just think that's one that it would just get me in trouble. I have family that listen, so definitely not going to talk about that conversation.
You want to change your password right now, too?
No, the password's good.
Okay.
Well, I probably should, because they know it. So the other night, I put a video up. My sister calls me. She's like, I love the video, but you did say your password on camera. I was like, oh, my God. So luckily, with the power of YouTube, we was able to go in and cut out a little bitty section. So those of you that got it, I'm not going to change it. I mean, it's not like you're going to get into my bank. You can get in my laptop. What else could you get into? Let me think off the top of my head. There may be some things.
For whoever's watching, go to ilovemidgets.com. It probably works on that.
We got to be careful. Actually, we don't have to be careful. Since you're Hispanic, Mexican, Samoan, I haven't quite figured out which one you are. Hawaiian? Isn't that Samoan? Anyways, you can make little jokes like that and get away with it. White people can't make racist jokes. But midgets could be offended if I said it.
So is that where you brought me to your show? You got to have a
certain amount of diversity?
Yeah, a certain amount.
No, because you got that beautiful smile and you make me laugh. That's the only reason why you're on here. And we do have good conversations.
We do.
And we've talked about this. So I was like, if I ever start a podcast, do you want to be on it? And you're like, yeah, let's do it.
So, all right. So before we start chasing a rabbit, we need to figure out what we're going to talk about.
Oh, well.
So
I think people would have expected us to figure this out before we went live.
No, that's...
Well, it is called Random Thoughts.
It is Random Thoughts. I mean...
Well, what do we typically talk about? Okay, so when we actually get into things, does it not tend to lean towards relationships?
Always.
Life, for sure.
Always has been relationships.
That just means we don't have it figured out.
No, not that. It's just we talked about relationship because a lot of people are afraid to talk about it.
You're exactly right. We talk about things. Well, that's the kind of the whole point of this is talking about things that scare me.
Yep. It's, especially me, like my culture, I was raised to be the man.
Yeah.
And the man doesn't show no feelings, no emotions, we're hardcore, and so when somebody talks about relationships, you kind of block them out, step away, because you're the man, you're hardcore, you're Superman. Nothing is broken in your relationship. You take care of it. So
I get it. So if there's simply by saying if something is not right in your relationship, it means that you're not
weak.
You almost you're not adequate.
You're weak.
Yeah. If you have any girl problems at all, you're not holding it down. Yeah, I think that's it may be more so. Would you say this is a Hispanic? What's the difference between? I don't want to get sidetracked.
No. I don't think it's a Hispanic thing.
Well, you said in your culture.
I think it's just a lot of times it's a man thing.
I think you're right.
I think it's a man thing. We all are raised, regardless of color and race. Men are raised to be tough, Supermans. We're responsible for our families and all that. We can't show weakness. You show weakness, then you might get bullied.
Yeah, and if you can't, as a man, and I don't mean this in the wrong way, but if you don't have control of your household or your woman, you're weak.
Yep.
Yeah, so that makes perfect sense. We never talk about it that way, but that's the reason why we don't talk about being cheated on. Sometimes people talk about being cheated on, but you really don't want to admit that because it just means you were inadequate or you feel like it.
To me, it's a sign of weakness.
By not talking about it?
But when you
By
get
being
cheated on, it's like, what?
It is.
Say you got cheated on, it's like, what did you do?
Exactly.
Even though they did it.
You're 100%.
What did you do?
You just brought me. No, you just brought
what
it all
did
together.
you mess up when you go, wait?
Well, you're right.
So
I believe without a shadow of a doubt, I have a philosophy that whatever happens to us in life, good or bad, my fault. I don't care how severe. We could talk about the worst of the worst, or we could talk about getting rear-ended at a red light. I'm saying it because I could go into that philosophy, and I'll go into it real quick. When I say if I get rear-ended at a red light, the only way I want to take responsibility for it is if they don't. If they want to take responsibility and fix my bumper, great. But if they don't, wrong place, wrong time. I'll fix it. I'll go on. Won't lose a minute of sleep. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. It's the reason why I don't allow people to pay me in business unless they're happy with the product. But with what you're saying, I still believe that if I get cheated on, it's my fault. I swear to you, it has to be my fault because for one reason, I know it's my fault. But if it wasn't, I couldn't change it. I couldn't fix it. If it's their fault, how can I fix something I'm blaming someone else for? So I love that concept when you even said it's my fault or whatever. And I believe it, but especially when it comes to relationships. If your spouse, partner, whatever you got is unhappy, well, that's their fault. But if you get cheated on, I think it's your fault. You should have left long before. Now, everyone that heard every bit of that, they're going to be like, fuck you. And I get it. Trust me.
No, it's just also the way our culture has been too,
When I say it's my fault, though, I'm not blaming myself. I'm blaming myself for staying in something. I am blaming myself for not knowing when to stop investing. I see every relationship as an investment. Whether it's a partnership, relationship, friendship, this conversation is an investment of time. And the minute I realize it's a bad investment, I just wish you luck. I don't have anything negative to say. I just wouldn't make opportunities for us to get together, right? So if you take from this relationship constantly, or this friendship, if you were constantly taking from me, taking advantage, I'm really good at recognizing it was a bad investment, and I just wish you luck, and you'd never know why we don't talk anymore, right? And I'm the same way with relationships. I feel like it's a bad investment. And actually, I think that's the secret, though. Like, okay, this is what people do wrong. In every relationship, that painting is everything to me when it comes. I think everything's about balance. And if I feel someone withdrawing in a relationship, the secret is to give them their space, not pull them in, right? What we do is we get nervous and say, what's wrong? No. We can ask what's wrong, but leave them alone. Give people a wide berth. If we would just let people go, I don't think they would go off and cheat. I'm saying that cheating is doesn't happen overnight. It happens over a long period of time. I say nip it in the bud. You know the old saying, right? I used it several times recently. Like, what does that mean to you? Nip it in the bud. I really believe in this basic concept. It's very basic. You've heard it your whole life, haven't you?
Oh, yeah.
What does it mean?
To me, it just means just cut it. If you got a rope, you cut it, you're done. It goes different ways.
But, what is the bud? What's the point of it? Like, what is the bud? What do you think the bud represents in this idea? The bud.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, I know. I don't know for sure, but I think the bud is a part of a plant. And I think it's about pruning, right? Unnecessary things. I think if you don't prune it, it'll kill the host. It'll kill the plant. And I see it in this way, the relationship. If you don't nip little problems in the bud and allow them to continue, then it'll eventually kill the entire relationship.
It will.
And I guess I feel like I'm being really ambiguous, but you said something really important about cheating. And I think all the things that I just described were kind of vague. And I don't think they really described what I'm trying to say, but when I say it's my fault if I got cheated on, it was my fault. It was because I held on to something I should have let go of. I should have wished it luck. That's nipping it in the bud early in the relationship. If I'm having to hold on to something that doesn't really belong to me, which is a human being, if I think I should have control over where they're at and where they should be, that's insanity. I should wish them the best luck in life. Nip it in the bud. Wish them luck. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, that concept?
To a certain point, because you also got to think, and people are, there's so many things. People cheat because that's what they've done since they were in a relationship. People cheat because, maybe they're not happy in the relationship they're in, but they also don't want to leave that relationship for whatever reason.
Fear.
So there's different reasons why people cheat. But it goes back to the same thing. Depending on where you are, you nip it on the bud, depending on what the issue is. Or you fix that problem, that relationship, so that significant other, whether it's you or that your partner, doesn't have to go to that point that whatever they're craving, they needing, they have to go cheat to go get it, in another relationship.
So you're helping me pull it back in. I agree with you 100%.
So, yeah, I mean, there's a number of reasons why people cheat. It's not just one.
They're unhappy, ultimately. I don't think people cheat. If you're invested in a real relationship, if you could call it cheating, I wouldn't call that dating, right? I would call it, to be able to cheat, you're in a relationship, you're invested, all right? And we have an agreement. Okay, so I would call that a relationship. And if you're forced to cheat, it's because, first of all, it's their fault too, but I don't want to blame someone else. I'm simply saying I'm not going to invest any time in blaming someone because I can't change them. I can only learn from my mistakes. I can change what I did wrong. And that's why I accept all the responsibility if they're not willing to. Because I can fix me, I can change my circumstances, but there's nothing I can do to make a difference in anyone's life if they don't want it. Like, I can't change you. I'm saying the reason why they cheated was because they stayed too long. They made a bad investment. They should have left. I mean, there's no excuse for ever cheating. You should have enough nerve in yourself. You should believe in yourself enough, or let's call it this. You should have enough self-respect to say, I'm done here. I have no value. I don't feel anything. There's no reason I should be here, and I should leave. That's the responsible thing to do, but everybody's too chicken shit to do that because nobody wants to be fucking alone. The idea of being alone would be terrifying, especially if you're coming from people go from relationship to relationship. They really do. Should I really get into all that too much? I can say that.
No, but being alone is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
People think being alone is not. I personally had to be alone to find myself, to figure out what I really wanted, what was going on in my life. I really had to spend time alone with a significant partner and trying to find myself.
Yeah, I think that's where you really do. Self-discovery is when you're alone.
You have to do it. And I don't know why people think that being alone, it's it's the worst thing or it's a failure because you don't have a significant other. No, being alone is actually good for you. It's good for your health. I mean, in order for you to bear good fruit, you got to make sure everything inside you is good.
I agree 100%. You made me think, have you ever heard I don't know what it's called. I didn't make this up. I don't know who did, but it's like the Tarzan. It's not a mentality, but it's a concept. Have you ever heard of it? Mm-mm. The vines, Tarzan. So I believe the only way you can get from one side of the jungle to the other is to swing from vine to vine. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And what people wind up doing is they just hang from the same vine. Does that make sense? And maybe this doesn't go together. There's actually two things. I may have to edit all this out because I may be on two different topics. Let me see if I can pull it all together because it just kind of triggered a philosophy that I'd heard before. But it's like people won't leave one relationship unless they have another vine. You know what I mean? They have to know that there's somebody else there for them because they're afraid to be alone. And that's not the way I really wanted to use this philosophy.
But if you use it that way...
It was intended for something different.
Hold on. But if you use it that way... So you saying you're in a relationship...
That's cheating.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. So that's why I'm saying I think this is a bad...
And then if you're already grabbing this one and then let go, so at some point, wow,
I got to think about that because these are two different concepts. Like that whole philosophy is being used for good and bad. Because let me tell you, the idea of swinging from vines is really fucking important in life. Not being afraid to let go of a vine, and maybe it does go.
So here's another thing. So cheating, right?
Yeah.
So what is cheating?
Simple.
What do you consider
breaking
cheating?
a trust? Any kind of trust, breaking trust, that's a form of cheating. It doesn't matter if it's sexual or intimacy. There's multiple kinds of cheating. I'm not mad at anybody that's ever done it. I understand why they've done it.
No, it's very important because, believe it or not, I have a different philosophy of cheating. Mm-hmm. To me, was like you physically had to
before you forget.
Kiss another person or you had to actually do something.
There's a degree of intimacy that you're willing to deal with before it's irreversible.
Correct.
Okay.
But not everybody thinks that way. Everybody thinks.
Everybody justifies.
Everybody thinks, and I think you nailed it. You nailed it in the butt.
Yeah. Nailed it in the butt.
Anytime you break a trust with your significant other, it's cheating.
Yep. And I'm not mad at anybody that's ever done it. Because everybody's done it on some level.
At some point we all did it. We all have done it.
I think the problem is why you cheated to begin with. And I think it is a lack of self-respect. And to the degree to which you don't have enough confidence in yourself to let go of one thing before you have something new. It's like you need the security. You're afraid to let go of something before you grab this new vine. And I think that if you really believe in yourself, it's like, I could really get into this is a complex idea. We're talking about an idea that's very complicated. And look, nobody has it figured out. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But I think I could simply say it boils down to a lack of self-respect. I use that for so many things. If I believe in myself and I'm unhappy, I have an obligation to be happy. And if I can't fix our friendship, I'm going to cheat on you with somebody else. That was a joke about me and you, but I'm saying I'm going to leave this relationship and find a new one. I'm going to find someone else to invest in. That's what I'm saying. If I've stopped investing in this person, I should kill it if it's irreversible, or at least it's complicated when we're talking about fucking relationships because you've invested time and you have a family and a house and it's very complex. So it's not an easy thing just to say, well, this is the problem. But I can say this. If you're afraid to leave, you're fucked. If you're too scared to walk away from anything, it's never going to end well. You have to be able to believe in yourself enough to say goodbye. Here's the secret, I think, is to be happy for them too and be like, listen, this is something I'm not willing to invest in anymore, right? Our partnership. It's not healthy for me, and I want to wish you luck. Ultimately, it's because I don't want to tell them this. You're not providing the value. I'm not stimulated. And we can get into why people cheat. I can actually probably draw it for you. I'll let you say what you're going to say, and then I'll come back to why people cheat. Now, I know it's because they should have left and they didn't, but we can get down to the science of it, I think.
Not necessarily. I mean,
why would someone cheat? You said because they're unhappy, right? You said there's a bunch of reasons, but I think you can. I think you can render it down. I could look at it like a hobby. Why do you jump from one hobby to the next? Job, hobby, career, whatever. It's all the same.
Probably you get tired of doing the same thing all the time.
Yeah, it's not really providing any stimulus. You're not being stimulated. So that's when it goes to passion for me. What is passion to you? What do you think passion is?
But then again, hold on. To that, can you go back before anybody leaves, before you give up on this relationship? You also have to look at yourself. Did I give 100%? Because if you just in there and you just
But I don't think you cheat for those reasons.
I think you do. I think if you're not giving 100%, because your needs are not getting met.
And maybe you didn't give 100% of being vulnerable. I think that's a big problem. I think I struggled with being vulnerable in relationships because I didn't want to put myself out there to be hurt. It's weird. I was talking to my sister about it the other day. I can be vulnerable to random strangers, but then someone that could crush my soul, like my wife, it's very difficult for me to be vulnerable. And I think it's really important. So in that case, I think you're right.
But what keeps you from doing that? I mean, I'm the same way. I'm the same way.
Okay, so there's this book by, my sister's going to shoot me right now. She's probably yelling at me like, it's so-and-so. Her name, I can't remember her name, but she's The Power of Vulnerability. Can't remember her name. It'll come to me. But actually, it wasn't even her. It was somebody else I'd read about. Vulnerabilities, being vulnerable. How did they describe it? Bricks. They were talking about bricks. And it wasn't vulnerability. It's about being vulnerable. But let's just describe this. We build walls, right? And we build these walls imagine that they're built out of bricks. And they're just all around us. These bricks, they go all the way, and then we got a tower, right? And we're afraid to be vulnerable and tell someone that we care about, that we really, really care about, their opinion of us, their perception of us. So every time I'm vulnerable with you, I hand you one of my bricks. That means I'm taking my wall down, right? And I keep handing you my bricks. But if every time I'm vulnerable to you, you use it against me and you throw that brick and hit me in the fucking eye, well, bitch, I ain't taking no bricks down. You wonder why people they stop taking their bricks down, because in a relationship, when you're becoming intimate with someone, that's what you're doing. You're handing over your bricks. You're tearing your wall down and letting people in. But if people use your bricks, you're insecure. And this is where people go. When they're mad, they take every brick, bitch, they start throwing it at you, and then they'll put the brick back. They'll put the wall back up. But I don't know if that made sense. Does it make sense?
So I'm going to tell you a different part of it.
Okay. Renee Brown, somebody.
So you say everybody build bricks, right?
Well, we all come in. That's
we got a wall of bricks. So just look at a wall of bricks. What is that wall doing?
It's protecting our ego.
Okay. But nothing can come out this way and nothing can go in this way. So you pretty much in a bubble.
Yep.
Your butt. So why not, instead of building, because I used to build humongous brick walls.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm never going to be hurt. You're never going to hurt me.
And correct.
Yeah.
And I learned what a fence does the same thing, except you can watch what's coming. So what does a fence do? It's still protecting you, but you can see stuff still can get in, but you can pretty much stop what's coming in if you don't like it. So why
translucent wall?
Instead of people building brick walls, we need to build more fences. Because fences still let you in. You still protected behind your fence.
I don't know if I can wrap my head around this idea. It sounds beautiful. I love what you're saying, but I don't know how to take it from being this impenetrable thing. I think this is the thing. If you want me to take my brick down, I think it's okay. Let me just say, I'm okay with people having their brick wall. I think it's important. I think it's up to the partner to be patient and never, ever use that brick against them. Like, never use the thing that scares someone and use it. Well, your mom is a blank, blank, blank. You know what I'm saying? You go for the throat. You go for the jugular when you're mad, You go for the things that are going to hurt someone most. And I think it's up to the partners. It's your responsibility to not use my bricks against me, my vulnerabilities, my fears, is all it is. Every time I tell you one of my secrets, those secrets could be a weapon that you could use against me. So I understand what you're saying, but I think for a relationship to, like, unless you're this all-powerful being and you don't give a fuck what anybody thinks, there is no bricks. You're a sociopath, you know? Like,
no, that's where the fence comes in.
I don't understand your fence.
Because here's the fence. The fence still there. So you're still on the other side of the fence.
I know.
Right? You're still on the other side of the fence. But things can still come in. Things still can come out. And I control it.
I see
something big comes through. It's trying to come that I don't like it. I can stop it before it crosses because I can see it.
Okay.
So I can with bricks. Think about it. A brick.
If it's a solid brick wall, but in reality, there's holes. Like you have archers, they can see through a little hole. There's cannons. You know, there's always little holes.
But some people's brick wall is so thick.
Well, I think that's when people cheat. Is when there's actually a concept. If you've ever done any therapy, there's I think they talk about the 4 horsemen and the brick wall. When you're brick walling people, you just shut down emotionally. You stop investing emotionally. Well, all I'm trying to say is I don't think people cheat overnight. It's a process. It's a process of not respecting yourself enough to leave before it gets to that point. I think if you should leave before you get to the point of cheating, and everything's okay. Everything's okay. You're allowed to leave a relationship you're not wanting to invest in. They may be hurt, but that's better than cheating. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to burp, but does that make sense? I think we have a responsibility to say, I'm unhappy, and I just don't want to be here anymore, and leave. And you know what's fucked up? It only takes like sometimes hours or days, never more than 30 days for you to stop and just separate and say, hold on. Because you process negative emotions so fast.
Yeah, but what about, because if you say you're unhappy, you're ready to leave. Mm-hmm. What about if it was the brick wall that's keeping you from being unhappy? What about if you're significant?
Well, you take your brick wall with you.
Hey, but that's the thing. That's what people do. Everybody goes,
okay, what is the brick wall? Tell me.
Everybody was bringing that brick wall with them to the next relationship. Mm-hmm. And guess what?
They are.
And it's starting all over again. That's what a lot of people fail on their relationship.
No.
I personally tell you that. I fell in a lot of my relationships because I kept bringing the brick wall with me. Keep bringing it with me. Till I finally learned, hey, a fence can still protect me, but I can see what's coming on. And when I decided to tear down my brick wall and put a fence instead, everything changed in my relationship.
Okay. I think that is this. The brick wall is your ego. Your ego is there to protect you. Actually, it's there to remind you of what a loser you are. It really is. It's your insecurities. I think you've just grown as a person and you have more self-respect. And you're at the point that I'm going to give you an opportunity to hurt me, but I'll respect myself enough to walk away the moment you do.
To a certain point.
I think that's what your fence is. I'm going to let you in, but don't fuck me over. Like I'm saying the brick wall is there because you're insecure. And as you grow as a person, as you become more self-confident and you become more self-aware with yourself and you have more self-respect, I'm learning. I have so much more self-respect for myself today than I did 5 years ago or 1 year ago that I let more people in. I feel confident enough with myself to allow you to give you a chance to hurt me. But if you do, that's it, man. I'll stop investing. Because I'm starting to learn that if someone says something negative towards me, it's because they're probably jealous or they fear me in some way. People don't say hurtful shit. That's in the movies. Like, that's not really... People say hurtful shit when you hurt them or they're inferior. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
I see what you're saying.
I think we're growing as a person.
We are. You have to grow.
Yeah.
You have to see yourself grow. If you don't see yourself growing... then you're going to be stuck in the same spot every time. And you're going to be jumping from, like you say, from rope to rope. And you never...
Which is actually important for another analogy. So that I'm going to random thought you here for a second. The philosophy behind the rope, the vine, is how do you cross a jungle? And I see the world as a jungle. And that's where this philosophy came from. I don't know who wrote it. I remember hearing it from somebody like, I think, Casey Neistat. And he was talking about how do you cross the jungle of life? It's not being afraid to let go of one. And it's about momentum. And me and Dakota was talking the other night about Newton's third law. An object in motion tends to stay in motion. So if you're going through life, not afraid, you're just swinging from vine to vine. I ain't saying relationship to relationship. That's a bad analogy for this. Unless you're young. And then I say go from relationship to relationship. Experience them all walks of life. So you know what you really like. You know it's really important. You got to test drive a lot. But as far as business and life experience, I'm just not being afraid to let go and try something new. And I see that as the problem. And I know I'm totally switching gears here, and we'll go back to relationships. I think it's important not to be afraid to let go of one hobby, one career, one friend, and swing out and grab another one. And once you start doing that, bam, you're just moving. And you can cross a fucking jungle in no time. I'm saying you learn. That's where you learn, is letting go of one and grabbing a new one. And if you sit there and hang on to a vine, it's hard to get moving. Imagine trying to get that vine moving after you just stopped. Does that make sense?
Yep.
That's like an object in motion tends to stay in motion. Well, the opposite is true. An object not in motion is a motherfucker to get moving. So you got to get that bitch moving. Reach out and grab it. But once you get going, don't stop. Just keep moving. And I think that's the secret to life, is to keep moving. And that's how I kind of messed up that whole analogy. I was trying to compare that to relationships and I destroyed it. So I apologize to whoever wrote that. But I hope that makes sense. And that's why, sorry to change gears there. Is this still going?
Yeah.
Huh?
I cut it.
How did you cut it? Okay. Well, sorry, we had a little intermission pee break there.
He nipped it in the butt.
He nipped it in the bud. I'm really proud, though. So a few people had said, hey, why don't you get a whiteboard? Why don't you write down a few topics? And I was like, bitch, this is random thoughts. But they're right. It needs to be, we need to stay on a topic of some kind. And I'm really proud of us. I don't know, we're probably 6 minutes in, and we've talked about the same thing the whole time. But it was random. It wasn't written down.
It's relationship. No one's going to talk about it. You seem that everybody's in a perfect relationship.
Yeah.
It's like we were going to trip, last weekend, and I thought everybody had a perfect relationship except for me and my future wife. And
where did I end up?
It's like, whoa.
Where's Nathan?
Yeah. We all deal with it, but
Yep.
we're so afraid to talk about it. And like that day, we were taking that road trip, I guess we had nothing else to talk about, and we both started being vulnerable. And it's just, it's hard. And then finally realize, yes, we are raised to be tough. But then I think the toughest men is the ones that can actually come out and talk. And the only way also we're going to learn from each other is by being vulnerable and say, hey, look, I messed up right here. This is what happened. This is what I did. This is how I fixed it. Hey,
You nailed it right there. I don't think I've talked about it on here, but it's something that I could talk about for days to explore the concept of beta versus alpha. See, everybody talks about things in which they think things are binary, on or off, like a light switch. And nothing is that way in real life. Everything is variable or analog. If you can make 0 to 10, 4 to 20 milliamps, I can think about this in electrical terms. To what degree you are or are not something, whether you're narcissistic, vulnerable, insecure. Everybody says, well, you're insecure and I'm not. No, we all are these things. I think that alpha and beta is the exact same concept. You are and are not, to some degree, beta or alpha. And I think that's the way I see it. And when you just described the toughest guys are the ones that can be the most vulnerable, I agree with you 1,000%. The meanest man in the bar is the most beta. He has something to prove to himself and the people around him. He walks in fear. I realize the guys that can fight the best are the scaredest about what you think about them. I think that true alpha is a state of mind. It's how much. It's a measurement of self-respect. I have a huge degree of self-respect here, alpha. I'm insecure, beta. But I think that needle moves back and forth depending on the topic. And I think you're constantly moving depending on what the circumstance is. If that makes any sense at all. Like, so talking about being vulnerable in my insecurities, it simply means I don't give a fuck what you think. That's alpha. I don't. If that makes sense. Now, I ain't saying I go through life saying I don't give a fuck what they think. No, that's beta. Right? If you care does that make sense? Am I making sense? You go through attitude. You go through life with an attitude, pretending like you don't care, and you go gothic, right? And you go against the grain. I don't give a shit about society. No, you care the most. But if I genuinely can sit down and tell you the truth, I don't care to the degree to which I am afraid to tell you the truth. Yes, I care. Otherwise, I'd be a sociopath. Like, if it doesn't affect you, then something's wrong with you. But if it affects you to the degree to which you're afraid to voice your opinion or your ideas or simply stand up for what you believe in, well, then that's a beta way of thinking. I think that the difference between alpha and beta is how much do you believe in whatever it is we're discussing. Because I think that needle goes back and forth. I don't think anyone is alpha. I think it depends on what you're talking about. Right?
What you're talking about, where you are, who you with.
Yeah. I went from a completely alpha state of mind on a concept that I won't discuss to beta bitch. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm terrified. I think that betas, I'm susceptible to your opinion. I'm easily swayed. I'm vulnerable to being influenced. That's a beta way of thinking. And I think alpha is not a male-female thing. It's not a male or a female. It is male and female. It's a human way of thinking. And I've never heard it described that way. And that's kind of what I've developed.
So with that said, bringing it back to the relationship, it's the same thing. I mean, whether you're male or female, you're scared what your partner thinks of you. Because we have this image from outside. Mm-hmm. You know, oh, he's tough. Oh man, she can be mean. She's tough. I don't want to. So you already have this image, but inside, we're different people. And when we open up, we become a glass door. And then the fear keeps us. Hey, if I'm open to Nathan and tell him, hey, I messed up, and I don't know what to do with my significant other because I messed up. Is Nathan going to give me good advice?
Or judge me?
Or is he going to judge me?
Yeah.
Is he going to say...
You're on track now. I know what you were trying to say.
So, but it goes back to being the alpha. It takes a real person to look someone in the eye and say, hey, I messed up in my relationship. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to fix it. Yeah. Then you come, hey, I hear you and your wife having trouble. It's nothing. Don't worry about it. She's being crazy. Trying to ignore it because that fear.
This is complicated.
Relationships are very. I think relationships can be so life in general,
but probably especially when it comes to being
could be easy, but we make it complicated because
we have an
of
ego
fear.
Though.
That
is your ego. Your fear is your ego.
Is what keeps us from.
Well, we're 10,000 years away from evolving. I'm just making that number up. I think we're a long way away from not truly caring what other people think. I don't want to get into that. It's a whole nother concept that I think about all the time, that we're still an animal. We're still evolving as a species, right?
This is where you need the whiteboard so we can write down.
No, because this is complicated. I mean, this is something I don't understand. I don't pretend to understand.
You can write down topics.
You're on the right track. You're on the right track. It's I've rendered it down to self-respect. Like everything, there's one, when it comes to this, when it comes to alpha, beta, it's leaving a relationship before cheating, like just anything in general. I simply think that people have a lack of self-respect. We're taught as children by our parents, which are flawed creatures, and nobody knows what they're doing when they have a child. Like, you're expected to know internal instincts. No, man, we just don't know. And so we're afraid to ask other people's advice, whether it be a relationship or parental or whatever. Like I'll get sidetracked there. A lack of we're taught as children to respect others. Always. We're taught to defend ourselves. In a good home, you were taught to respect others and to defend yourself. I can't recognize one instance that a child was taught to respect themselves first before the parent. Okay, what I mean is, in life, I think that we've done it a little bit wrong. I think that we should be teaching our children to respect themselves first and let society stand up for themselves and be obligated to respect themselves. What I'm saying is
so if you can't respect yourself, how are you going to respect others?
How can anyone respect you? It's only when you stand up for yourself that you're respected. Whether it be a parent respecting a child, it's only when the child says, no, you're not going to talk to me that way. I'm an adult. Let me make my own mistakes. And the parent stands back and says, hell yeah. It's like they're ready for the world. But what if parents sat down and said, don't ever let me talk to you that way? I had this moment. Let me explain to you. This is like my epiphany moment. I was working on Brennan's bicycle one day. I was pissed off because he should have been the one doing it. Something wrong with the chain, whatever it was. I'm frustrated because I'm fixing this bicycle, knowing I'm making a mistake by not letting him learn. And Landon, my youngest, comes up and says, what are you doing, Dad? You fixing Brennan's bike? And I was like, damn, Landon, just give me a second, man. I was frustrated like that, just like every parent in the world. I was taking
that anger, that emotion.
Yeah, because I didn't have enough self-respect for myself to look at my son and say, stop playing and fix your bike. Or, stop playing, Brennan, and fix your bike. Right? I couldn't do that. I felt guilty. So I fixed the bike for him. And because of that, I channeled all my frustration into my 7-year-old, 8-year-old at the time. And I remember looking at his face, and he didn't act sad. He acted like, okay, Dad, like it was fucking normal. It was normal. Like, he was used to me being able to dismiss him, be patronizing. And I realized, what a fucking asshole you are. And I stopped and I sat down on the floor because I thought it was important that he was above me. I made sure that I was looking up at him because I know camera angles and I know what we do in film to manipulate and make someone look powerful. And if I talk to a child from an elevated perspective, that's why in books they tell you to get level with the child so you're equal. I mean, it's really, really important. I got below him and made him stand above me, and I said, look, don't you ever let another motherfucker in life speak to you that way, including me. You should be able to look at me and say, don't talk to me that way. I didn't do anything to deserve that. I just asked you a simple question, right? And he was like, okay, Dad. And I was like, no, man, I'm telling you, don't ever let anyone speak to you that way, ever, and let them get away with it. Nip it in the bud. Address it right then. Not even your parent, not even your dad. You look at me and say, don't talk to me that way. I didn't deserve that. I'm not saying that he took that philosophy and ran with it. I'm saying I think it was the beginning of me learning to say, no, dude, you got to stand up for yourself. Even your own fucking dad. I made a mistake, and it's up to you to let me know the mistakes I make. Because we go through life making mistakes and we're unaware of it until someone that has been affected by it brings it to our attention. I say that all the time. And it's really up to us to have enough self-respect to say, bitch, you can't talk to me that way. Not at the cashiers, not my waitress, not my best friend, not my wife, not my child. Nobody should ever be allowed to patronize me for no reason. Discipline's one thing, but then to just disrespect for no reason, we just get quiet and we say, well, take the high road and don't say nothing. No, fuck that. Say something. It don't have to be a fight. If you're willing to stand up for yourself in the moment, you'll never be bullied. Bullying, fighting, a fight only happens when you have allowed someone to disrespect you over a time. Like bullies don't happen overnight. They happen over time, and it starts with body language, and then it proceeds to comments, shoulder, you know what I'm saying, being fucked with. But if you will address it in the moment and say, bitch, listen, I'm not afraid to get my ass kicked. You don't have to go that far. You could just say, why would you say that? If you just ask people that, why would you say that? Force, in the very first moment they disrespect you. That happens on the first date. People are always trying to find the edge. People are always trying to figure out what you're willing to take. And if they don't know where your boundary is, they're going to keep Look, we're a species that's designed to find the edge. And it's up to us to say, nope. You got to earn your way into my circle. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I think that starts with the parent and the child. I don't think a parent should be allowed to disrespect a child. I think the child should be able to look at the parent and say, bitch, don't talk to me that way. And I'm exaggerating there. I wouldn't recommend that a child say bitch. But I think it's important that we teach our children to respect themselves first, even before they show us respect. If that makes now, it's up to me as a parent to say, child, don't you roll your eyes at me. Or if my son sighs at me, I'm telling you, it's like I'm teaching him. I respect myself enough to never have my eyes, never allow you to roll your eyes or sigh. My kids don't do that to me. And it's because I don't allow it. But I don't want them to let me get away with it either. I wish they would say, Dad, I don't roll my eyes at you. Better treat me like somebody. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to teach something that is like a new concept for me. And I think if we taught people to have self-respect, cheating, fighting, things that we argue about in life would never happen. If we could start as a parent to say, dude, you got to respect yourself before you ever respect anybody else. Never let anyone get away with something. Don't just forgive them. Like, yes, you forgive somebody for making mistakes, but if they're mistreating you, correct it then. And if they're not willing to take responsibility, don't let them in your circle. They have to earn their way into your world. And that's, sorry, I went like a rant there.
No, but bringing it all back. So you mentioned something about being, if we don't respect ourselves, that's how bully starts. Mm-hmm. So you think in a relationship,
yes,
there's someone that bullies that other?
I think I think this is what human beings are wired to do. As a species, I think we are designed to find the edge. We are designed to find the boundary. Human beings, whether it be an adult or a child, don't do well without boundaries, rules, hard rules, not ambiguous rules that it's okay to break one day and not tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's when you create chaos. Humans do very well when it's a hard no. All right, fuck it. Speed limit 65. I am not speeding through here. Where do you speed? Where you think you can get away with it. Where do you not speed? Where you know that they're going to bust your ass and you're okay with it. A child that doesn't have those kind of boundaries, or humans in general, if they don't have a hard boundary with any rule in life, whether it be a job or driving privileges or in a relationship, I swear to you, I think boundaries are trying to be like I said, we're wired to find the edge. Where, okay, it's this. I think it's this. I think it's tribalism. I think it's a very tribalistic idea. I think it's about procreation. I really do. I think it's about whether or not you deserve to be in my tribe or whether or not you deserve to be reproduced with. Like, if you believe in yourself, and most people are just faking it, right? Most people are going to fight for what they believe in, but most time you're just faking it. If you believe in yourself, you're never angry. Like, you just say, no, not allowed. The people you admire in life are very stoic. They don't get upset. It would take a lot to upset. You would have to hurt someone you'd have to hurt someone else, right, to evoke that kind of emotion. This is a hard idea to really discuss and stay on topic. I think as a tribal idea, we spread, we take over, we consume. We're a species of finding. We're adventurous. And I think it happens in a friendship or a relationship, the first day of school, or like I said, the first time you go out on a date. We joke around, right, with people because we're looking for the edge. What are they willing to take? Are they sensitive? Right? There's a difference between standing up for yourself and being sensitive and being hurt. Like, if you get hurt and say, "Why would you say that?" Well, that's not an attribute that you would want to be in your circle. Like, you would dismiss them pretty quickly if they're sensitive. I'm saying if you genuinely disrespect someone and they don't stand up for themselves, you keep fucking with them. It's the reason why we mess with people, because honestly, I think we just want them to stand up for themselves. I think that's where bullies inherently come from. I think they're a very weak-minded person that get off by taking from you. But I think I'm not going to say they're important in society. I'm saying we're still a fucking animal when it comes down to it. And we don't understand why we do the things we do. When I keep going back to a date, I can imagine messing with people the first time I ever meet them. And I'm trying to figure out what their value is. Do they believe in themselves? I didn't know I was doing that. I just wondered why we did it. I think we're trying to figure out, do they respect themselves? And the ones that respect themselves are the ones we want near us. They're the ones we want in our circle because we can learn from them, because it's powerful. It's powerful to not allow people to get away with things. Now, I think it's also important. It's a very fine, weird line, the difference between a joke, right, and total disrespect. Like it's a very complex idea, but I think it's this simple. Listen to your gut. If you feel hurt or offended or pissed off, address it in a very stoic way. Don't want to fight every time somebody hurts your feelings. It's address it. Why would you say that? Like if it bothered me, if it was in my stomach, if that gut instinct said, don't let them get away with it. You know the difference. Like your instinct says, deal with it. If you ever find yourself upset in any way, it's because you didn't deal with something you should have dealt with. But if you thought it was funny, laugh. Don't be afraid to be the butt of a joke. Like if you weren't offended, you get what I'm saying? It's a very complicated idea.
I laugh about all the jokes.
I know, because you're a confident person. You get what I'm saying? And this may be, this may not resonate with anyone. It's something I'm trying to figure out. But I think as a species, we're designed to find the edge, and we do that by cracking jokes at your expense, by flexing, by some form of bullying. You see it everywhere you go. It's what men do. I think it's probably what women do, although I can't really relate with that whole concept, but it's what men do. They fuck with each other. It's a very tribalistic concept to joke at your buddy's expense. And I've had buddies that are very intimidating that were just testing me. It was a test. I think life is a test. Women shit test men. Men shit test each other to determine whether or not you should go into battle with them.
That's what we do in relationships, though.
It's the exact same thing. We're trying to figure out, do you respect yourself?
Yeah. Because one thing, like I tell my fiance is, hey, when I live here, I want to make sure you're taken care of. I want to make sure that if something happens to me, you can survive. You don't need me. And that goes from material stuff, having a house, money, whatever. But also, I would not want someone to take advantage of my significant other.
Yeah, it's our responsibility.
So, and one of the things I love about her, because just like you mentioned, she will tell me sometimes, I don't talk to you that way. So can you please not talk to me that way? That's and important. I have to go back and go, I'm not talking to you that way, And it's like, yes, you are. And
that's powerful too.
And it is. And you have to be man enough sometimes too, though, or woman enough to go, oh, he's right, she's right,
I think if you can address it without emotion.
Oh, everything
if I
has
say,
to be
why
with
would you say that? Well, that's emotional. But if I say, why would you say that? Just explain yourself. Like, there's a difference between, if I use emotion, that's a reaction. And a reaction doesn't have a whole lot of value. Like, we put value as a society. We say, well, he told him. Like, he flexed on him. We look at Trump and say, oh, yeah, he. I'm saying someone that can respond is powerful. Someone that is unaffected by your attack. There's a huge difference between a response and a reaction. And a response is powerful. Someone that is unaffected by your opinion of them, but they're still willing to address it, to let you know, you can't say that. Rather than, you can't say that. You understand that concept? Yep. I think that's the difference between self-respect and that's the degree to how much self-respect you have. Someone that is unaffected by your opinion of them, but they're still willing to address it, is a very confident person. They would only address it to be a better person, to make the world a better place, or to correct a wrong. Like, that's the people I admire. That's the people that I looked up to.
So all this comes down to
self-respect. Self-respect.
Self-respect.
Yeah. And so if I don't respect you, that's your fault. It's your fault for not saying. It's really your fault when you allow me to do it over and over. I let people get away with disrespecting me. It happens, right? Me and you've had this conversation before, or we haven't had this conversation, but I don't like being around certain people in life because of a lack of respect they have for me. I'm not going to try to force them to respect me. I just don't let them back in my circle. It's like, well, good luck. You know what I mean? I don't keep wanting their attention. I wouldn't make myself available for them. I wouldn't be available in any way. You know, that's why my circle's very, very small. I'm not saying you have to fight for everything. I'm saying quit allowing people to take advantage of you over and over. It's your fault. It's your fault if you keep allowing people to disrespect you. You have to say, nope, not a good person. Move on. You ain't even have to say anything. If you don't want to say anything, don't say anything. But don't allow them to have another chance. Don't keep giving them the chances to take advantage of you. That's your fault. If someone takes advantage of you multiple times, your fault. You have a lack of self-respect, and you care so much about what they think. You care so much about their value that you don't have any value yourself. You don't understand your own. You know, it's a funny thing. I think life started changing for me. I didn't really know how to charge people with my videos and pictures. I didn't understand my own value. And a bartender, his name's Eric Garcia. Matter of fact, we were texting today. One day, he was my bartender. Philosopher, young dude. Young dude. We have polar opposite views on so many things, but when it comes to value and just certain common core values in life, I learned a lot from him. He said, man, I was trying to get him to help me price my product. And he said, you have to understand your own value in life. And I've heard that so many times in life, but this time it resonated. This time I realized I don't know what I'm worth. I have very little self-respect when it comes to the value of the product that I was producing. Like I had self-respect in whether or not I let you bully me, but the product that I was producing, I was giving it away. Giving it away. What is that noise? Did y'all hear that?
I think it's this table.
Oh, sorry. I thought something was under my house. But does that make sense? That's where the whole alpha beta thing comes from. Like, how much do you believe in yourself here, or, you know, depending on the topic. Like, but the videos and pictures I was producing, and it hits me all the time. I started learning my own value. I started believing in myself, and that's ultimately. I mean, a lot of things changed for me after that. Like, what I do now is 100% film. That's all I do now is videos. And a lot of it started really changing after he said that. But it took practice. It didn't happen overnight. It was practice. It was practice trying to charge someone. Like, I knew I was worth 1,000. I'd say 500. And so many people out there can resonate with that. My sister made some of the greatest cakes of all time. She'd never charge. She'd give them away. You know, and it was a lack of self-respect is what I chalk it up to. I have to call it something. But I think that applies to relationships and everything in life. It's about recognizing your own value. And if you do, it was like weird. If I can charge whatever I want now. It's kind of crazy. And my work's worse than what it was 5 years ago. The shit I was putting out 5 years ago made me cry. You know what I mean? When I'd watch I'd be like, that's really good, because I cared so much. And now I've just got a system that it's just, I can just crank one after another out. I'm putting very little effort in and making 50 times more than I ever made before. It's because, bitch, I know my own value. I really do. I believe in myself. And I said that kind of cocky, but, you know, it takes a little bit of that.
You are cocky.
You know, I don't want to appear cocky, but it's okay that in the inside, I'm like, I know what I'm doing. I really do. And I think with life and jobs, and if you want to progress in a corporate world or any world, I don't give a shit if you work for J&G Pizza. Until you realize, you know have you ever wondered how so many shitty people get into management? You're looking, I'm like, bitch, you ain't qualified for that. The difference between you and them, they just believed. They believed in themselves and weren't even qualified. And it's kind of sad that it's just a matter of, I'm going to tell you, the power of believing in yourself The power of believing in yourself is dangerous. I use this example all the time. Maybe I won't use that example. That'll offend a lot of people. No, I'll use it because I'm not trying to be offensive. We'll just talk about similarities. I always say, I told my kids this several times, and I was talking about the power of belief. What did Jesus Christ and Charles Manson have in common? I'm not saying what the difference is, many differences, but what did they have in common?
You always said it. They believe in themselves.
Yeah. As crazy, as batshit crazy as Charles Manson was, or Hitler, just because they believed, people followed. And that's a very dangerous fucking thing. So, but it's also a very powerful thing. You see morons all the time that are in charge of companies and managers. Now, they do usually get figured out at a certain point. Like, they usually don't end up running the whole company. If you made it to the top, you deserve it. But there's levels of management that people don't belong in. They just thought they should be there. And there's a lot of people that should be there that just didn't believe they deserved it. If that makes sense. The power of self-respect.
Believing in yourself.
Yeah, it's a self-respect. It's the whole concept of self-respect.
So before we run out of time, and I know
is there a time limit? How long has it been?
I don't know, but one thing I want to talk since we're in a relationship was, you know that saying, grass it's not always greener in the other side of the fence.
Yep.
How you feel about that?
Well, I like the idea behind it, and it's right. I think that I've thought past that. I think that
because the reason I'm bringing that up because we talked about self-respect, then we talked about if something's not coming back to you, investment wise, you eventually let it go, drop it, move on.
Yeah.
But then you have this saying, hey, grass is not always green on the other side. Mm-hmm. If you spend that much time taking care of your own lawn, that grass will be greener than the other side.
Yes, but it's really difficult to, relationships are hard because we spend all our time trying to show the other party where they're doing wrong or what they can do to fix our relationship. All you have to do is this one little thing and I would be happy. And that's not really possible. That's where we really go wrong in relationships, is by trying to manipulate or... Honestly, it's really the things we fall in love with in the person that we want to change after 6 months of being with them, It is. And I think that's where we're going wrong. It's about accepting them. We always say, you just got to accept them for who they are. And that's right. To the extent that you're willing to walk away, if... You're allowed to change yourself. That's all you can do, is what I believe. You can lead by example. I believe that's a good one. If you want your spouse to be better in finances, then by God, you should be better in finances, right? But if they don't want to be, you should just accept that responsibility or move on. I think that's the key. If you're not happy with your... Okay. I don't know if I should go into any detail about this concept here. This painting was made for me because I thought it was I believe in balance. And we can spend 500 episodes on what balance is. And the end-all, be-all to the thing that kills everything. And I think it's balance. But I think balance is always... So if there's an imbalance, life will just correct it. Otherwise, it would just fall apart. So I thought... I got to tell you, it's my bartender. She was incredible. She's an artist, and I was telling her about this concept, and she drew this out on a napkin. And I was talking about the thing that kills all relationships is an imbalance, right? And I thought, when I say relationships, I mean relationships, partnerships, and friendships. All ships. This is the thing that sinks all ships. Relationships, partnerships, and friendships. If I want you to change, I can get you to change by guilting you into doing it. I could guilt you into becoming something different, but there's a side effect to guilt, and I think the balance, the equal and opposing force, would be resentment, and I think that's why we start to separate ourselves from people is because we get tired of feeling guilty. And I think that's what that painting represents, is the death of all ships. Is I can get whatever I want out of life by guilting someone into doing it, but there's a consequence. Resentment. And it's a silent killer in all relationships. It takes time to start to get... I think that's when people cheat, is when they resent someone so much they have nothing left. It's just a compilation of resentment. It's everything you hate about this person is when you end up going out and cheating or leaving or suicide or, everything you could think of that's bad. I think that's what it is. It's people getting their way by saying, you know what I mean? Trying to get their way. I think the secret is no, encourage them to be who they want to be and say goodbye. Have enough self-respect to say, well, if gambling is that important to you, I respect you, and I encourage you to be a gambler or a prostitute or a meth head or a thief or a cheater or whatever it is you want to be. Mwah! Good luck, but not around me, bitch, right? I'll invest somewhere else. That's all I'm saying. I think it's only because we allow people to get away with it and we say, oh, please forgive me. Give me one more chance. Give me 19 more chances. People that are apologizing for something over and over, and we keep giving them, no, nip that bitch in the bud before it kills the entire host, before it kills the entire plant, or sinks the whole ship. Now, when I say a ship, I imagine this container ship sailing across the Pacific, and we package all this guilt on one side of the ship, okay, and they load up a package of guilt, a container of guilt. And, well, it goes on one side because it has to be organized, but then to balance that bitch out, if you don't balance it, the ship will sink. You won't make it very far. So you balance it out with resentment, and it'll keep the ship upright. But over time, if you keep doing that, I think that's what that represents. It just sinks the ship. Relationship, partnership, or friendship. It just sinks it over time, and it's a slow death. And I think that's my thought on it. Whether it's right or wrong, I don't know. It's just something I'm exploring.
Yeah, mine's always been, I always use the chair. I'm standing up on a chair. Mm-hmm. And you need my help. I'm trying to bring you up where I'm at.
That's hard.
If I bring you up where I am, great work. But the moment you start pulling me down with you, it's kind of the same thing.
Great analogy.
You got to cut it because
I see the same thing.
Because it goes to help them. When you try to help people, when you're in a relationship and the relationship is one-sided. Mm-hmm. Just picture yourself being in the chair.
Because everybody needs help.
Yeah, everybody needs help.
Yeah.
And what's awesome about relationships is you want to help each other. Mm-hmm. You want to better yourself. And you're like we're talking about relationships. So you're trying to help your partner be better, whatever it may be. But if that partner is not willing to put the work into it, I always picture myself in the chair. You picking that person up. If they want to help themselves up, guess what? They're going to come to the chair with you. Yeah. And it works out awesome. Yeah.
Mine's a cliff.
But
they'll always pull you off. If they're not willing to help, they'll kill you before. I always pictured a cliff trying to pull somebody, a limp body up a cliff. Somebody that doesn't want help, they'll always pull you off before you. But if they could just dig 1 foot in. And get one
little by little.
I think we see the same thing. I never heard that analogy, but as long as they're willing to have help,
they'll come with you. But the moment they start dragging you, it's when you have let to. Go. And I think the hardest part is we do care and love people so much, and then we get all mixed up in emotions, and then fear walks in, and that's when we don't know when.
Fear of what?
Fear of what's going to happen. Fear of letting go.
What?
The biggest thing
could it be fear of being alone?
When you let go of that hand, fear of being alone, fear of wish I could have, would have, you never know.
I think, I could say, I think a lot of it is fear of being alone. I think it all goes back to self-respect, though.
It does. I was about to say that. Yeah. But if you have enough self-respect, when you go that
you have a responsibility to be a productive member of society, and if you're getting pulled off a cliff, if you're getting
you got to be able to let go.
Yeah,
but you got to have self-respect enough that you go, I love you. I care about you. But if I keep going, giving you a hand, you're going to drag me with you, and it's not going to do us any good.
Here's what's fucked up. If you have so much self-respect, if it's ingrained into who you are, it'll never get that far. Somebody that's hanging off a cliff was enabled. Do you understand what I'm saying? They were enabled to get so far into that addiction or, whatever it was that released their dopamine. People only do these things because they're trying to feel good about themselves. They're not bad people.
Yeah, but also the other part is, what about if I was trying to reach out to you, you never really wanted to hear me? You never really heard me.
Why would you have such a lack of self-respect that you would want to reach out to me? What I'm saying is that, like, if I reach out to you and you don't want to hear it, I would invest in someone else.
Correct.
But
what about if you're the only person I trust, and the person that you only trust don't even?
Are we talking about relationships still?
Yeah.
I'm saying it doesn't. That's a indication of someone that where you didn't nip it in the bud. The plant's dying. The host is dying. Like you're at the end. You're at the point that it's all fucked up. If you would have had so much self-respect in the beginning that you would be like, no, not allowed. You can't treat me that way. Or if this is a habit that you want to have, if this is more important to you than our relationship or friendship or partnership, and I mean that. When I say a ship, I'm talking about those three things: relationship, friendship, or a partnership. If that means more to you, I want to smile really big, shake your hand, and wish you the best of luck. It's my obligation. It's my responsibility to not ask you to change, but say, no. If you think that's right, then good luck. I don't want you to apologize. We're just not a good fit. We're not a good fit. I should invest with someone else. And that's a level of self-respect that you'll practice for the rest of your life. It's something you grow into. It's not, no one is that. Like, that's hardcore, but it's something I practice every day. It's like saying, bad investment. I'm going to invest somewhere else.
Let me ask you this. So you ever been in a situation where somebody told you that? Like, yes. They have no self-respect that they go, Nathan?
Yeah, but it's usually when they're fed up, right? A girlfriend, a wife, right? She's fed up with me. And the moment that she's fed up, she's not mad, or he, she, business, whatever. My parent, when a parent gets fed up with a child, man, what if they could be fed up in the very beginning? Enough self-respect to say, nope, I told you to be home at 9. These are the consequences. Or a wife or a friend or whatever. It's only when a person, a human being, is fed up is when things change. They're okay. Like, they've experienced all the emotions. They feel no more emotion. And they are logical, not emotional. And they say, good luck. And they wish you the best of luck. I think that's when relationships ultimately end. What if we could do that in the very beginning, rather than when we've caused so much fucking damage that we've warped our great-great-grandchildren, we've burned the whole house down. You know what I mean? The neighborhood hates us because we've called the police 50 times because of domestic violence. What if we were like, no, not good for me. Good luck, though. I want to wish you the best of luck. Because that's only the time. It's only when someone in that ship is done, fed up, that we are willing to change. When I look at you and say, listen, Freddy, I love you. I don't need this in my life. Too much of this or too much of that. I want to wish you luck, though. But good luck. That's the moment that you say, hold on one second. Let me think about this. You know what I'm saying? It's only when they are fed up that we sit back and say, well, let me think about this. Because otherwise you're in denial, right? It's when we wish the best for you that we self-reflect. So what if we got to shortchange that whole process by saying, nope. This is what we agreed on. Like, we agreed on this. And I just can't accept that. So good luck. And give them another chance. But that's it, bitch. I'm telling you. And if you say it with no emotion, people believe. But if you use emotion, if you react, no value. If your wife or girlfriend or friend is yelling at you, I never want to see you again, motherfucker. Yeah, they do. But if they look at you with no emotion, pure logic, and say, we're done. You understand? I'm over, that's when you're like, oh, fuck. No emotion. They're over it. So what if we could practice? I've had enough. I have enough respect and value for myself to say, no more, man. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
I think if we could be taught, if we could teach our children to say, no, don't let me come home because I'm competing with the Joneses and I'm trying to pay for a car that I can't afford or a house that I don't need and trying to buy you shit that you'll never use. And I'm so fucking stressed out in life that when I walk in the door, I don't want to hear shit. And little Johnny or little Sue runs up, mommy, mommy, daddy, daddy. And we're like, not right now. Like, we're teaching our children this fucked up concept of being disrespected and it's okay. No, look at me and say, don't ever let me speak to you that way. Please, you know. Like, I think we could change the world, man. I really do.
Self-respect. It goes back to self-respect.
I got a couple of these little nuggets that like go back to something, and like whatever we talk about, it could go back to this one thing. I could get into we could draw out it's not the Steinberg. I call it the Steinberg, and I'm going to random thought you for a second, but Steinberg principles. It's a Steinberg triangle, but it's like how all relationships are formed, and whether it be a relationship with a hobby or a intimate other, you know, sexual relationship or whatever, but it's a really fascinating thing. We were talking about when people cheat, and I don't want to go into it now, so maybe we'll save it for the next episode, but it's a beautiful concept. And it's at what point people do cheat. Like there's a way, there's a sign to see it if you're alert. And I'm not saying everybody cheats. I'm not trying to put that in people's heads. People tune the fuck out and don't want to be in a relationship. And I would love to draw it one day. We'll get a board that we can like raise. I was thinking we can get like a whiteboard that we can raise up and down, and then we can draw. You know,
yeah.
Because I'm more of a drawer. You know, I can't draw for shit, but I'd rather draw it. I got these three concepts: the how, the why, the what of life. The how, the why, the what. I've never shared it with you, but it's like we'll start with why. The why human beings are doing the things they're doing. The what human beings are doing, and the how we're doing it. And it's a cycle, and it's a formula that I've created for myself, and I've shared on a camera one time the why. Did I share the why? No, I shared the how. The how is pretty cool. It's like how to accomplish anything in life. And look, I didn't write these things. I just discovered them, and I realized, oh shit, this is the how to life, or this is the why. And I've just kind of I've created a path for myself, and you know, one day I'll share it. You know, but it's exhausting actually to share, but it's fun. But it was the why people do the things that do. It's like any question you have, this is the why these things happen. I would love to draw it, and like whatever question you ask, it really goes back to that. And
so you're saying there's going to be part 2?
Well,
part
actually,
2, part
so
3?
The people that I've invited on here are not necessarily best friends. It's people that
just random thoughts.
Yeah.
We all got random thoughts.
Yeah. It's very, like, the people that I've asked to come on are people that I have this dynamic, is that the word? There's no box. People say, think outside the box. I said, what box? There ain't no damn box. Like, this, whatever's good, you know? And so I like talking to people that are just creative thinkers, and there's never an argument. And, you know, I mean, some people are so stubborn. Like, I don't want to talk to anybody that's stubborn. I just don't have the energy for it. I'd rather explore possibilities, because nothing that I'm talking about is a fact or my rule in life. They're all ideas. It's things that I think a lot of people are thinking about, especially me. I think for me, I just want to be a better version of me. That's the only thing I can change.
The goal. I think that should be everybody's goal. Trying to be, and that's the same thing. I try to listen people's opinion and what they think, because there's no book that tells you what to do exactly in a relationship, what to do in a friendship. I mean, I believe in the Bible. The Bible tells you how you need to live your life, and from there you influence all these lives. But once you're inside a relationship, a marriage, there's no actual book that you go and say, this is what you do. When your wife, you know, is mad at you because she wanted cookie dough and you brought her something else and she gets mad at you, this is what you do, There's no detail like that.
You know,
and the book star.
You know why? Why? Let's ask that. Why is there no book? You've already talked about it. You just don't realize it.
Because there's so many things. I mean, you couldn't write a book on it.
Because people don't talk about it.
Well,
people aren't vulnerable enough to talk about their problems. Everybody wants to tell you how to fix something, but they don't want to tell you why you're fixing it to begin with. There's no manual. You're right. Like, people just say, oh, this is what you do in that circumstance. Bitch, I want to hear about your issues.
It's funny you said that because somebody told me about advice. Always be careful the advice you take from. So, if I'm having a relationship problems, you don't want to get advice from someone that has never been in a relationship.
That's
or
valid.
Or is in a relationship every other week.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You don't want to take that advice. So, but a lot of times the advice we give is something that, hey, I'm going to give you this advice. Try it out. If it works, let me know because then I might use it. It's usually advice that we give is never something we're willing to do ourselves. Or we just thought about it. That might be a good thing. You
just made me think of something. I want to hear advice. Okay, so we try to get advice to change someone else. We're always looking to change someone.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Well, how do I make this person understand this? So today I was at my insurance company. They needed me to come in for like 30 minutes to evaluate house, cars. I didn't understand what I was there for, but it wound up being pretty cool. He's a young dude, married, very Christian background. I'm not a very religious person, but I love all walks of life. Like, I can listen to anybody. I can take advice from anybody. And we wound up knocking out 20 minutes of us talking about marriage. And he's a young dude, married, no kids. But he talked about how he and his wife communicated. They always say communication's key, right?
It is.
That's pretty ambiguous.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, communication's key. He went into detail about how they communicate. They try to, I think he said every evening. Maybe I'm exaggerating. But in the evenings, they take a walk and they discuss the day. And I've learned this. Just because I want to talk about something now doesn't mean I can unless you're ready to talk about it. So what they do is when there is a conflict or an unresolved issue within the relationship, marriage, they schedule it. Really? I thought, well, that's weird. How do you schedule something like that?
Like a meeting, like a work?
They do because they don't want to deal with it right then because they're both one or the other. If one or the other is exactly, if one or the other is emotional, you might as well piss in the wind because there's nothing going to good come from it. So they're like, look, okay, let's revisit this. And on this night, I don't have anything available to you. And they're like, nope. So they schedule. Silly as that sounds, and maybe I'm exaggerating, but ultimately this is what they do. They say on this night, let's talk. Maybe it's a night away or 2 days away, and then they revisit. They remember what the issue was, but they work it out like it's nothing. And they're right. I've done that with me and my wife. Like, we learned to not discuss things when we're pissed off because that's what we used to do. This is the biggest problem I've noticed in all ships. Relationship, partnership, friendship. They want to discuss it in the moment. Right now, there's a fucking problem and I'm pissed off. Nope. Wait 1 hour. You will get a great result. Wait a day, a week. Wait until you're both ready to talk about it logically because I've learned that logic and emotion cannot cohabitate. They cannot coexist. It's like oil and water. They're both important. But they can't be at the same time.
That was me. You ruined this hour right now for me.
Yep.
I don't want to ruin another minute. I don't want to ruin another day. We're going to fix it right now.
Yeah. I've done my whole life that way. And I got a funny story.
And I learned that through my fiancée. I know my philosophy with her is she's a hurricane, I'm a volcano. When those two go at it, it's the perfect storm. And guess what? 4 days later, we finally realized, why did we talk about it then? Because we didn't fix nothing. We made things worse.
Every time.
And if you're calm Because, like, I have talked to her driving down the road, just me and her riding. It's like, hey, I really don't like this, or she don't like this. And we talked. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. But it's not easy, though.
No, it's hard.
Because even you come, somewhere in that relationship, whether it's hurt or guess what's going to pop out? Emotions. We buff up. We go at it. And because we can tell each other. Because she can tell me, hey, you're getting upset. Calm down. We're talking. And it's like, oh, all right, cool. She does the same thing. It's like, babe, I see that hurricane start. But because we can see each other and we can calm each other and we fix it. That's the thing. When the emotions are going, mm-hmm. you're making it worse than what it is, and you don't fix nothing.
You're 100% right. And that, even for me, goes back to self-respect. It's about having enough respect for yourself not to fucking waste your life on debating some dumb shit like an argument. It's a waste of time. It's about having enough self-respect to say, I'm emotional. I need to calm down, right? And knowing your own value to say, this is pointless. If I'm upset in any way, I say this. Make no decisions when emotions involved. Happy, sad, mad, angry, fear, doesn't matter. Let's say happy. Happiness is not the time to make a decision. Right?
You buy everything in the world.
Timeshares. Right? Good example of why not to make a decision. So
I bought a Jeep.
Well, that was a good decision. Was you? I don't know how you. Anyway, I'm saying that emotions are important, but logic. So it's like, it's about that yin yang. It's my symbol, yin yang. It's like order and chaos. I don't want to get into it right now, but emotions are important, but you don't make decisions. You don't debate when anyone. If the other one is emotional, you're just like, wait, listen, let's do this later. I feel emotion. Don't say you're emotional. Let's not talk about this, right? Say, I'm emotional, and I think it's the wrong time to have this discussion. Can we wait till I calm down? Does that make sense? What we do is we point at the other person and say, bitch, you're emotional.
But it goes back to self-respect, though.
Yeah, self-respect.
And it goes back to fear, too. Because if I get in a fight with you, we argue about something, mm-hmm. and I'm thinking here, and we heat it up. So in the back of my mind, I'm having self-respect. It's like, I need to tell Nathan, hey, bro, I'm gonna go home right now. Mm-hmm. Can we talk about this later? So two things are happening. One is your self-respect. I'm self-respect enough to tell you, hey, I'm heated up. It's going to get things worse. I respect you enough, too, because the next words that come out of my mouth might destroy this ship. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is your reaction. Yeah. So that's where the fear comes in. Will Nathan be like, oh, you're right, man. Maybe we should. You go home. I'm going back in there, and we'll talk about this later, bro. Or you're gonna be that guy that you're chicken shit.
Well,
you're gonna leave right now? You're gonna be that guy? You see what I'm saying?
So when you're emotional, you escalate situations rather than de-escalate. When you're a logical mind, you want to de-escalate. You want to bring the emotions down. But when you feel any kind of emotion, you want to feed that motherfucker. You want to you're like if you're happy, bitch, we're coming back every year. This is amazing. I'm buying a house here. Or if you're pissed off, I'm ready to fight. We're going to burn this whole thing to the ground. So if you feel emotion, you want to escalate whatever the circumstance is, which is why you have to have enough self-respect to say, this could go bad. So it's about just walking away, having enough self-respect to say, listen, I love you enough to just walk away right now. And then when I'm clear, I'll come back and be like, that was insane. I can't believe. And so when you're logical, you'll de-escalate. I think we weren't taught these things. What we were taught, every time we watch the news, every time we watch television, they glorify the escalation of a problem, right? Whether it be a fight or a conversation, or a parent, the way a parent talks to a child is to escalate the situation. we're just not taught as a society to de-escalate. Does that make sense? We're not taught to walk away when I feel anything. Happy, sad, mad, angry, fear. If I feel anything, it's my responsibility to say, I can't have this conversation. Give me a little time. If you want to revisit this in an hour, I'll holler at you, but I just don't feel good about it right now. I'm not myself. I'm emotional. And I can't have a logical conversation if I'm emotional. And we're just not taught that stuff. We don't see it in society. We don't see it in books. Like, it's the complete opposite. Like, we glorify the escalation.
Well, we thought somebody pops up. What are you going to do?
Well, you got to defend yourself. I'm not saying be a bitch.
No.
I'm saying
that's what we thought.
Yeah, I'm saying when fight or flight kicks in, you stand up for what's right. But in a conversation, there's no reason to escalate that.
Yeah, I think I think that's what goes back to all this in a relationship. We don't practice self-respect, and we let things go out of hand, or because we don't respect ourselves enough, we don't respect our significant others enough.
Well, have you ever heard of the art of stoicism? To be stoic? Have you ever heard of that term, stoic? So it's not something I've studied. You can study it. I mean, it's older than religion, to be stoic. And so what little bit I took from it, what little bit I learned, I realized quickly, it's to be unemotional. And I think to actually practice stoicism, like some of the greatest leaders of all time, they truly practice stoicism. And I'd highly recommend anybody to research it. It's pretty fascinating. But what they did was, from what I gathered, and it's been a long time since I've studied it, or at least researched it, it was about planning for what could go wrong today and experience all the emotions. Like, it's really weird. It's like a really weird concept.
Do that?
Well, it's like to plan for to be let down. It's like to prepare yourself for negative emotions. Okay? And I didn't really go that far with it. What I took from it was to practice being
negative all the time?
No. To practice being present and to practice de-escalating emotions, to practice not reacting. Okay, so what I got from Stoicism was it's okay to respond, not react. You can always respond. No matter what the circumstance is, you can respond, but not react. Now, I didn't say this. This is what I've kind of developed through the process of being stoic, is to be calm, unemotional, to be stoic. I mean, if you look up the definition, they were very stoic. They were unaffected. It's a very alpha way of thinking. Like the people that you look up to in life, they could respond, but they didn't react. You know, they didn't try to escalate a situation. If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yep.
To be stoic, to be unaffected. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm misusing the word, misrepresenting the word, but that's the way I see it. To be stoic, in my mind, would to be. It's fucking hard, man. Like, dude,
it is because we react first, so yeah. I can see in my mind.
Put that a little closer because you're far away from it. They got to hear your sexy Latin voice.
I can see in my mind someone just going off, and instead of me standing up or getting ready to scream at them too, you go.
I want to neutralize.
It's okay.
Calmate.
Sit down. Talk to me.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Yeah.
No matter what. And I think it'd be a shockwave. Like, whoa, what am I doing?
Well,
but I think so. I think this topic we could go forever, and because of this topic,
I think it kind of boiled down to two things.
You can from there you can grab several things and talked about it.
Yeah.
But I think the more of the story is self-respect,
which is
an
alpha way of thinking,
and have enough. Let go of the fear and talk about it more. If we all did this, if humans started talking more without fear.
Vulnerable. I've said this before. I started becoming vulnerable to the world, and the world started becoming vulnerable to me. As weird as that may sound to you. And you may not know what I'm talking about, but I put out, so these Random Thoughts videos started with me in my backyard. I'd been preaching to everybody, get on camera, do yourself a favor, do your business a favor, get on camera. This is the secret. And they were all like, why ain't you on camera? Because I'm here to make you famous, not me. Like, I was terrified of being in front of the camera. And this is what's odd is I started in front of the camera, but I thought I was making videos for my family, not YouTube. I didn't know what YouTube was. It was the home videos. And then once I realized people started watching, it freaked me out. So I went behind the camera. And then I felt like a hypocrite because I was always trying to convince people to be better and you can do this. And they're always asking me, why ain't you doing it? And I thought, you're right. I'm a bitch. I'm a hypocrite.
It's advice. You're giving everybody else advice to see how it works before you take it.
No, I knew what I was saying was the gospel. And I knew that if I got in front of the camera, whatever I wanted to do business-wise, I knew it would be big, and which kind of scared me. I mean, I'm just getting started. If I really want to make this big, within 2 years, I could make this a sustainable living. I know that. Not because I'm interesting. I just know that there's 7 billion people on the planet. And if 1,000th of 1% wanted to watch that, what's that, 70,000 people? That's a lot of damn people. So I'm saying that it doesn't matter who you are. If you get in front of a camera, you've got an audience. You just got to be consistent and stick with it. Ultimately, stick with it. I was saying that to say I got in front of my camera one day. I didn't think about it. I just fired it up, and I shot these few little shots, and I got out. It was hard, but I did it. And it was called Random Thoughts, and I was overcoming insecurities. And I did 4 or 5, and I had so much feedback from those 4 or 5 little videos privately. Phone calls, messages. No one commented so the public could see it because they would have had to be vulnerable to the world. And they commented privately. I'm so grateful they did, but I thought, wow, what if that comment would have been in the comment section? How many people could have related to that comment? Like, all of us are secretly sending messages, personal messages. Anyways, what I'm saying is it's fucking hard to be vulnerable, man. It's hard to put your thoughts out there to the world. Some people don't give a shit, you know. Some people just write what they want to write. It's really difficult for me to type on Facebook.
I'd rather talk. I'd rather create this. I'd rather create a video.
I don't know why I said all that. I was saying I don't know, man. I think we're evolving. We're a species. Whether it doesn't matter your religion, background, science, it doesn't matter. We have to admit that we are evolving, right? We're changing. We've changed in the last 100 years, 50 years. What was it? How long ago? 50 years? Women couldn't vote? Was it 50 years ago, Dakota?
Yeah.
I can't hear you. 60?
Yeah, it was 60.
60 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a big evolution. We've changed a lot.
So, another thing we talked about was we want to do this too. Because at the end of the day, we want to leave the world a better place.
Yeah, we have a responsibility.
It's already...
You know, I think that's you're nailing it right there. I don't think we can leave the world a better place by going out and changing it. It's by being a better version of ourselves, making our own bed.
And leading by example.
Yeah. Fixing your own shit. Not trying to... Everybody's out there protesting, trying to change the world. How about just change yourself? If you just focus on yourself, that's the most you could ever do in this world.
Well, you know...
Stop littering.
It's like the saying, you want to change something, start in your home.
Start and stop. You know, share your story. You know, if you have an idea, share it. Try to, you know, if you want to make the world a better place, focus on you, not your wife. Hell, not even your kids. Just you. Focus on being the best parent, the best person, the best friend.
And the rest will follow.
Yeah, I mean, it's really the only way you can make a difference, to be honest, I think.
No, it is. And that's one thing in this relationship. I've been trying to be a better version of myself and let my future wife and my stepdaughters follow that.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of hard work, but it does work.
It'll never end.
It will
I think
never
that's
end,
the secret.
but
I think what we're feeling right now, being vulnerable or constantly trying to be a better version, it should be a challenge that never stops or ceases to feel the way we feel. Like, we should always feel inadequate because there's always a way we could get better, to be Christ-like. Whatever you want to be like, we got a long way to go. So every hurdle we cross, there should be another one right there in front of us. Otherwise, you should just die Because, I mean, what's the point if you're not becoming a better version of yourself? Like, anyways, I guess we'll end it here. How long have we been going?
Almost 2 hours.
Almost.
Damn. Who would have thought the best? No, I don't say the best. We've had some good conversations. We've been cut short. One night Brennan cut it short, and one night the debate cut it short. But I think we could go for hours. If it wasn't for him having to manage this thing, I'd keep going. And your wife is probably craving some tacos.
Hungry. Tamales.
Tamales? You making tamales?
No, they're already made.
I'm headed your house. Anyways, look, I don't have no sign out. I ain't got no way to sign up. But Freddy, thank you so much for
Thanks
coming
for
on.
having me.
You going to be on again?
Sure.
All right, we're going.
If you have me.
Yeah, absolutely. Bye-bye. Thank you. Woo! That was awesome, wasn't it? Ah!